So how's it going tonight, Garrett?
It's going good, man. How about yourself?
Not bad. So sitting down with Garrett Krause, Eddyville, Blakesburg, Fremont. Man, you had a great season last year. Really good
Yeah,
season.
pretty
But
special.
before that, Eddyville's always had kind of a tradition of girls wrestling. Megan Black, not Megan and Maddie
Yep.
Black, and then of course Rihanna was there. You know, what do you think about that area is that has, got the girls started so early there?
I think it's just having some of those people you just talked about stay in the environment, stay in the culture. Um, I think having them nearby really helps develop the program. So, I mean, people still see Megan and Maddie Black everywhere they go in Eddyville or in Ottumwa. So I think that kind of helps out a lot.
Now you had a really good run last year. Sixth place kind of came. You probably don't think you came out of nowhere, because I mean, you've
Uh,
been building it, but
you know,
probably for a lot of people, it might have been a little bit of a surprise that you ended up in sixth place and with some really, really high placers.
you know.
So who did you have qualifying and placing last year?
So we had eight qualifying, and we had I'm going to go through this. It's going to be a little bit of a refresher. So we had our 110 pounder, Abby Derflinger, our 115, Kate Krause, our 120, Georgia Smith, our 125, Olivia Roop. We had our 130, Miley Kirkpatrick. We had Chelsea Smith, our 55 pounder, Addie Lawbrook, our 90 pounder, and then Ella Ray was our 235. So, and we had a ton that were right there in those true second matches that, they just missed them. So,
That's still eight qualifiers. How many
yeah.
place winners out of that did you have?
We have four state placers. So,
Wow, that is that's a great year. It's a
yeah.
great year. How do you build on that?
I'll be honest with you. It's tough because out of those, we're losing. I think we lost six seniors this year, so it's going to be an uphill battle next year trying to find and bring in the right girls. So,
You're still coming back. You should still have a lot of really solid placers, qualifiers coming back.
oh yeah,
Uh,
yep,
could make that jump for one of the big old state trophies. And I'm
trying,
guessing
yep,
that I'm
trying
guessing
to,
that's the goal, huh?
yep.
Um,
We battled last year, and of course, I have parents and other coaches paying attention to the team score, and for the longest time, we were in third place, and by the time the dust settled, we had moved down to six, and I think from six to third place, there was only a few points that really separated those teams. So we were like, man, we're right there, and we're definitely gonna be bringing back the right girls to maybe get the job done. So.
that is awesome. What's the off season look like? Have they got some matches in this off season?
Yeah, so that's another thing that we're really lucky about having is we have a good core group of girls that really put the work in the off season and they're wrestling all year round. This is just some of them are actually just brand new to this and they loved wrestling so much they just decided they're going to keep taking off with it 365 days a year, and we had four girls that qualified for Fargo from one school, so we were like, man, that's pretty special in itself and
Yeah, it
uh,
is.
so it's pretty exciting to see all that.
That is awesome. What's the youth and middle school numbers looking like?
So, youth-wise, we have a program called the Mini Rockets, and there's a handful of girls in there, young girls, which is pretty awesome. And middle school numbers, I would say this is probably going to be our lightest year. I think we have about five to eight middle school girls that are going to be coming up, and in that youth program, you kind of pay attention to some of the parents' posts on Facebook and watching some of these young girls scrap in the room. And we've got these one girl's named Monroe and Remington, and they are going to be monsters when they come up to the high school division. So, I mean, they're already winning AAU state titles at 8 and 9 years old. So, pretty excited about them.
That is really awesome. It's fun to hear how much is coming up and watching those young girls like at AAU State and things. Man, they wrestle way better than I ever did, I think.
For sure, for sure.
It's crazy to watch.
Yep.
Um, part of tradition and stuff, Eddyville, uh, great coaching base. Who else do you have coaching with you?
So we got a really good group of assets that help out in the wrestling room, and I would almost say we're almost a whole together. Even though we're separate from boys and girls wrestling, we do everything together. we all care about each other's program the same as we do our own. So, we got guys like Dimitri Boyer, who's the boys head coach. He's really hands-on with the girls and helping out and going to the state tournament with us, going to regionals with us. Um, he's a huge technique guy in the room, and it's nice to have somebody like that. He was a NCAA finalist at the D2 division, and he's just a freaking wealth of knowledge. We also have Richard Leddington, who is you couldn't ask for a better person to help the program out, and he has done it for so many years. It's remarkable. So, we've got those guys, and we're actually looking at a new assistant coach for the girls' side. So we're looking at bringing some more people in, and we've had a couple applications, and we've even had applications of some girls that graduated last year that were wrestlers. So, we just don't know where we're going with that, but hopefully we get bring somebody good in and add them to our team.
Yeah, and with the boys and girls being close, you can talk about helping each other's programs out. Saw the boys ranked pretty highly also.
Yes.
Where are they sitting? I can't remember right off the top of my head.
So they're number one
That's
for
what I
class.
thought.
Yeah. Yeah. So we
And
have
it's
7 ranked wrestlers for the boys, and it's going to be a pretty special team. So,
yeah,
there's
and
already talks about trying to bring back team trophies for boys and girls in the same year. So,
that would be just amazing. That would be awesome. That I don't think that's been done since Waverly, maybe did that
yeah.
early on before sanctioning.
Yeah.
So, uh, do you have a who's number one match coming up also, or
Night
is
of
that on
conflict.
Night of Conflict? Okay,
My
gotcha.
son Gage is wrestling in that. So,
That should be pretty cool. It hasn't been back to Iowa City for a lot of years. Now, look forward to watching him wrestle. He's a fun guy to watch.
yeah, he's
Uh,
definitely keeps it interesting.
I bet so. Um, as far as the environment you guys are creating at Eddyville, and what would you say are maybe some of the core things that you really preach to the girls?
Yep. So, going into it, I would say some of the things that we preach to not just the girls, but all the wrestlers is um, just, especially with so many new ones. I think you've hit on this really hard. There's so many new girls in wrestling right now, right? And it's just to really not care, which is it's hard to do as a competitor, not care about that first season, right? And I think the more you can get through to them, like, hey, this first season is developing. We're learning technique. We're really not caring about the matches. It's a win and we learn mentality, right? You never take a loss and lose from it. There's always something we can take from it. And I would really say that's kind of what we hit on hard is we win and we learn. What can we take away from the losses to put into a positive perspective going forward? So.
Yeah, along with that, redefining success. Obviously, that's part of that. But the $1 million question I've asked a lot of coaches this so far: how do we build confidence in those new athletes?
That is a great question, honestly. It's man, if you had the answer to that, you'd be a millionaire, right?
I know. Yes, you would.
I've actually talked with some of the guys over there at Wrestling Mindset, and you almost have to deep dive in specifically with each individual wrestler because not each two wrestlers are the same. They don't think the same, they don't act the same, they don't do the same things. So I would actually say that's one thing that we have really good going on at Eddyville right now is, like I said, guys like Richard Leddington. He will walk around the room and he will talk with wrestlers and he will find out what clicks for them. So I think having somebody like him going around and really utilizing his strengths and being able to develop individuals and going around the room and just making sure that, they're being listened to, the things that they're struggling with. He talks to them about that. Positions they struggle with. He really individualizes those workouts and kind of works with them individually. So, he's an asset. And then we also bring in a motivational speaker, usually on a Thursday or Friday before big competitions on the weekend. And he just sends a group message on, here's some techniques on what you guys can do before matches, after matches, maybe if it's just on the bus ride to the tournament. Like here's some things that you can be thinking about before you compete. So those are the things that we do, and it really seems to help so far. So.
Now, that's some really good stuff. That wrestling mindset, I've been trying to find ways to fund that and, and stuff because I think that'd be just a great asset. Maybe we need to work more with the school on that. Um, I look back and I've been around a lot of great coaches. I had good coaches. I've been around good coaches. Who are some of the people that kind of influenced your coaching and kind of who brought you up?
That brought me up. I would honestly say, so the way that I got into coaching was maybe just a little bit different because, I've always done it in other sports. I don't have like the largest background in wrestling. I did a little bit in middle school. And then my dad kind of made me, transition to a one sport athlete and just focus on what I was good at. So I would say, how I got into coaching wrestling is a little bit different. There was a need and it wasn't being filled at our school. And I've always loved coaching youth sports, football, baseball, basketball, and you name it, I coached it at the youth level. And nobody was applying for our head girls coach on the girls side for wrestling. And it was one of those things we were a couple months away from starting the season. No names have been dropped into a hat. And I was like, I'm not going to let an awesome program like this not have somebody that cares about it and run it. And so I basically got involved in it through Coach Dimitri Boyer. We had a large discussion. He was like, hey, we need somebody. I think you'd be a good fit. And he really helped develop me into this role. So if I really had to give any credit to anybody, it'd probably have to be Dimitri Boyer. So.
Well, there's a long list of coaches in the state of Iowa that never really had a wrestling career. Coach Dara from Dowling, one of the most decorated. Just I can think of so many different ones right off the top of my head. I'm blanking this a little bit, but at Takeo Westmar had a coach that never wrestled, and they were one of the most successful NAIA programs in the state. So
You
that part doesn't matter. Being a good coach matters.
yeah.
Who were some of the good coaches you had?
So some of the good coaches that I had were, God, probably, man, I'm really trying to think because I moved around so much as a kid that I never really stayed in a spot long enough to build a relationship with coaches. But I will say the person that I probably had the best coach or best relationship coach wise with was after I was already out of high school and college. And the person that I learned the most from was, I don't know if you know this name or not, but his name's Rocky DeBolt. I got my son into a wrestling club when he was, around 8 years of age, and um, Rocky DeBolt just really helped. I don't know. He just like pushed the envelope on me of what should be the standard for a wrestling coach. He was just somebody that always cared. He was always somebody that would check in on his athletes. He wanted to develop everybody in the room, not just concentrate on his core group of good guys. Him and Larry Jackson had a club named Hammer Time Wrestling Academy, and it was just them two. And I mean, at the time when my son was going there, they were probably one of the top clubs in Iowa at that point in time. So I would definitely have to say Rocky the Bolt's my guy if it goes to any coaches that I really took a lot from or had a good relationship with. So.
Very nice. Yeah, I'm sure somewhere I've ran into him or talked to him. It seems like we all know each other and stuff. And I'm horrible with names and faces. So,
No.
um, one of the things I've been talking about to other coaches is, of course, on the map matters and all that stuff, but what the kids take away from us and what they take down the line, the legacy we're leaving. What are some of the things that you really want to leave with the girls?
Um, that is also a tough question. So I actually saw a couple of your other interviews asking some of these other coaches this same question. And, I think the biggest thing that goes back to me is that I want them to know it's not what can they do for me, but what can I do for them. I think that sometimes with a coach athlete relationship, I think a lot of the kids are like, oh, hey, they only want me on the team because I'm an athlete. They only want me on the team because of what I can do for them, right? I always feel like that's a huge question. And um, I would say that I almost want it to be the other way around, like, hey, if you're needing help in the schoolroom, come to your coaches. Let us help you and figure out a way to get your GPA up. We're not just people that sit on the sidelines and just are waiting for you to fail. We want to help you succeed, whether that be in the practice room, on the mat, or in school. So I would definitely say it's what can we do for them, not what can we or not what they can do for us. So
Oh, nice. Good perspective there. You said some of your girls like the sport so much they're going 365, but you're a small school.
yeah.
I definitely understand the multi-sport athlete. What's your thoughts? What do you get? Do you have a lot of multi-sport athletes on the team and working with that? It's just a little different sometimes.
Yeah, we do. They're not a whole lot, to be honest with you. I would say our core group of girls are all just bought into wrestling. One of my daughters, Kendra, she does softball, and she also does wrestling. So she's doing the dual sport stuff. Another one's Madison Connell. She does a lot of different sports, but I would say for the most part, it's just the core group of girls that we have. They just love wrestling. So.
That's a good problem to have.
Yeah, for
I mean, I'm all about multi-sport, but there's so many times that I was like, why can't we just get together and practice? Well, this one's playing softball and this one's got fall league and spring league and all kinds of stuff. Yeah, I've struggled with that the whole time at Ridgeview, but I guess it's important because not very many of them are still competing anymore, so they had a lot of fun doing more than one sport. Kind of a fun question for you. The practice playlist, do you get your hands on it at all?
No, between the number of boys and girls in that room, there's no way that we're getting any chance of controlling what comes on that radio. So,
I mean, anytime I get anywhere near it, I'm just completely laughed out of the room, basically. I'm a hairband guy. What would you put on if you could listen to anything you
I'm a
wanted?
huge classic rock guy. So it would literally be the Rolling Stones, Cars, Leonard Skinner. Like that'd be the stuff that I'm playing. Not necessarily what everybody else likes to listen to, but that's what I'm jamming out to. So.
Nice. Well, let's get to know you just a little bit more as a person and as a coach. Let's start with your family. Who's all in the family right now?
So myself, obviously, my wife, Nicole. I think a lot of people know Kate, Kendra, and Gage. Um, I mean, that's who's in our household. I don't know if you want me to go outside of that, but
Oh no, that's however you want.
yep.
How as deep as you want to go.
So we'll go with that because man, there's a lot to go off of with them three. So,
And
but
I have been giving kind of shout outs to wives because man, they have to put up with a lot during the wrestling season, and actually all year round as much as we do. Um, yeah, so I'm sure with three wrestlers in the household, she's
she's
definitely a
very
saint.
busy during wrestling season. Very so. She helps me out a lot with the whole track wrestling thing and making sure that I have my weigh-in sheets printed off, and it definitely goes full circle. There's no way that I could do what I do if it wasn't for her. So
Now I saw Gage is making a few visits. Did I see him in green the other day?
yeah, he just went to North
NDSU?
Dakota. Yep. That was
How
an
was
awesome
that trip?
visit. It was a great visit actually. They've got an incredible program, and he wants to go to school for business, and so we got to see and go into a couple of those classrooms and just see what that looks like. And I mean, he's just on cloud nine at this point, right? Being a junior, going to D1
Yeah.
schools and getting to check him out. So
Is that kind of one of his first visits then he's taken or
that's one of his first ones. He actually is going to Northwestern here soon too. So, and Wyoming's been another one that has reached out and showed a lot of interest in getting him there. So, we're just kind of taking the process and enjoying the moment and not taking it for granted and just kind of just enjoying it. So,
so what year the girls are going into God, will they be juniors this year?
yep, they're juniors too. So.
Yeah. So have they are they thinking about wrestling past high school or
Oh yeah. So Kate and Kendra and Miley, the three girls on my team, they actually all have a
yep.
visit this weekend at Buena Vista. So they're
Oh
going to go
wow.
there and check that out. And Abby McIntyre is the assistant coach there, and she's been a
Yeah.
huge fan of these girls. We actually went to the ISI camp, Iron Sharpens Iron, and she was
Hmm.
one of our camp counselors, and she just fell in love with these girls. So she's trying to do everything she can to try to get them a part of her team there. So
Yeah, Abby's such a I've known Abby since she's been about knee high. So yeah, I'm hoping I know this is going to be a great experience for her, and I'm sure at some point in time she's going to take the reins of her own team. But glad to
I
see her
would
at BV.
she's so talented and just such an awesome person in general. I remember when she got paired up with us, I was obviously the coach that brought our girls team to ISI, and somebody had made the comment to Abby. They're like, "How the heck did you get paired up with a coach that thinks just like you do or acts just like you do?" She's like, "I don't know, but it's awesome, and we get along and we click." So she's like, "I couldn't have asked for a better person to coach with," and I thought the same thing. She's fantastic.
Yeah, she's loud also. I know a few coaches have commented how she's popped an eardrum or two.
I like that though. I like the high energy people.
Um, food's a huge part of wrestling, and you weren't so much in wrestling in high school and college, so you didn't really have the weight cuts. But what do you have in the girls? What do you have in the girls have after weigh-ins now?
So, I guess I think you're talking like high school tournaments. What are they?
Yeah, high school. Yeah,
No.
we got an hour or two.
Yep. So we have a great support system with our parents, and they really make sure that the girls have some healthy snacks as soon as weigh-ins are over. They're bringing in the waters, they're bringing in club sandwiches, they're bringing fruit and bagels with honey, and they're trying to refuel as good as they can. If there's one thing that I could probably nix out of that whole thing was the energy drinks after a weight cut. You see, I don't know
Yeah.
where this came from, but it's like every wrestler thinks they need like a Celsius after cutting 4, 5, 6, 7 pounds. And it's just like, let's probably stop doing that so much because caffeine definitely dehydrates the body. But I would say for the most part, the our parents do a really good job of making sure they stay on track. So
So if I was gonna head down to Eddyville, what is the place to go out to eat down there?
you got very, very few options because Eddyville is a very small town. But I don't know. You have to mention Ford's. So Ford's is just like a little sports bar in Eddyville, and I was actually just there and had a hot ham and Swiss cheese sandwich with some onion curlers, and it's definitely the place to go. So I would definitely say you got to check that out.
And any guilty pleasure foods? I'm an ice cream guy for days. I could probably survive on that. Do you have anything that you absolutely love?
I'm not sure to be honest with you. If you ask my wife, she could probably tell you like 4 or 5 different things that I like to eat
Yeah.
all the time. But um, I don't know. I'm a big like Hershey's chocolate guy. So like the big size Hershey chocolate bars that you get from the gas
Yep.
station. Dude, I'll take those and I'll stash them somewhere for whenever I want some chocolate or something. So I would say that's about it. But
Are you having to hide that from the kids?
oh, you got to hide everything from them. They're human garbage disposals. So.
Well, I couldn't imagine a food bill right now with three kids. I know what it is like with just my wife and I.
My wife always makes a joke that she's always excited for wrestling time because the grocery bill goes down significantly.
Oh, I bet so. Vacation spots. People typically are a mountain or a beach person. What's your favorite?
I would say mountains for me. We actually took a trip out to Colorado not too long ago and went and walked through this like rocky valley to this peak where there was this big giant like lake inside of the mountain, and it was just one of the coolest things you'll see. So I'm definitely all for like the hiking and camping more than laying out on the beach all day. So.
Do you have any like bucket list places that you want to go for vacation?
Um, I really haven't. My wife probably has a ton marked up for us after the kids are gone, right? But for me, dude, we're just so, we got 3 teenagers in the house right now, so we're just super concentrated on living in the now and not too worried about where we're going. I know once they graduate, she wants to take them all on a cruise for a little graduation gift, but I'll leave that planning up to her. So
Yeah, no, that sounds like a good that'd be a great graduation gift as far as I'm concerned.
for sure.
Um, if we look at coaching philosophy, kind of goes into coaching philosophy and things that we're teaching in the room. Uh, Second period coin flip. What is your instinct? Where are we going?
So I have a whole philosophy on this, to be honest with you. I think we won a like from year one of me coaching to 2 year of me coaching since girls sanctioning. I changed my philosophy on where I want to do that. So now we're talking a little bit more strategy, but um, where I've just been a huge top guy. We hammer in the room being able to turn somebody and put them on their back. And I actually watched a lot of tape from year one. And the one thing that I noticed is when we started putting girls down, especially in the second and third periods, you notice that maybe they were just a little bit too tired or their technique wasn't there because they're a lot more new. And I always say, like, hey, let's develop the things that we're bad at in the room, not on the
Okay.
mat when we're trying to compete for, team tournaments and stuff. So I think we went up like almost 20 to 30% in our win rate after I started putting girls on top. And I, that's where I'm going, man. We're gonna go on top and we're gonna be hammers. So
I do not disagree with you. And even with the points changes, takedowns and near fall are worth so much more than
yeah,
escape and reversal. So I mean, it's strategy wise, and girls are just they seem really good on top, and
they
bottom
they
is not
are.
necessarily.
I got a theory to that too on why girls are just so much better on top. And I feel like boys are content with riding sometimes. Like I feel like you'll see a lot more ride outs in boys wrestling than you will girls. And I think it's because girls, man, they get on top and they are so determined. They only think of one thing, and that's pin. Like they want to get that match over with, and they want their hand raised, and I feel like they are just so much more aggressive when it comes to turning somebody. So
Yeah, and there is a lot of pins.
there is a
Very,
lot of
yeah,
pins.
yeah. Sometimes I don't want, yeah, I don't like to wait around and take top in the third because I want to be on top in the second because we might not see a third period, you
Yep,
know.
yep.
So, on our feet, what's our go-tos?
So I'm a big like drag guy. I like setting up drags to a leg. Um, Coach Boyer is a really big high crouch guy. He really shows technique on that pretty well and show a lot of single legs. We have a lot of girls in the room that hit some ankle picks and stuff. So I would say we're pretty well rounded when it comes to things that we go to from neutral. I wouldn't say there's one thing that we really are heavy over than the other. Um, but I would say if you were to watch our film and say what shot do we hit the most, it's probably high crotch or a nice little drag to a single leg, just things like that. So
If you're, so we already talked about pinning, but what's our go-to pinning combinations?
so that's changed. We like I think what we did last year was we worked really more on like stretching them out with a half and a wrist, breaking them down and putting your knee to block the leg, pull them across, and then um, stretch them flat and put them to their back. We also had Coach Williamson. He's not really a coach. We just call him that. He's the principal, or not the principal. He's the no, he's our principal at Eddyville, and um, he he does a big hammer lock. He's a wrestler from Iowa, so he loves hammer
Okay.
lock. Getting that wrist behind the back and threading the needle through the other side. And I think he showed that halfway through the season, and we really started putting a lot of people on their back with that. So um, just try to be have a lot of different skills on top helps. So I would say those two are probably our biggest ones.
Yeah, I'm trying to learn right alongside of the girls with some leg riding. I was not a leg
Oh
rider.
boy. Yeah.
And so I'm trying to learn. Coach Shepard is with me. He was a good leg rider, and I'm trying to learn with him and stuff. So that's kind of been our focus this last year is just trying to either be able to get out of it or get out of legs or be able to use legs is the focus. Off the bottom, we've had a lot of success with like quad pod stand up and stuff like that. What are
Yep.
you guys working on?
Well, I mean, I think the biggest one is just sealing off, fighting for inside control. If you can win the battle inside, and they have to work outside of your arms, I feel like you're in a much better position to fight and work up. So we really work on sealing off, hand fighting on bottom, and working to have like their wrist break before we get to our feet. We actually had my daughter got hurt last year because she started coming up so fast and the girls were locked around the waist and we're trying to stand up real big when they have a real nice tight lock on our body, and she got returned behind her and pretty much, I mean, she had a small fracture in her elbow and strained her UCL, so she was out for 3 to 4 weeks last year. And we put a really big emphasis to, hey, we got to have hand control or wrist control when we come to our feet. So we really tried, working that a lot more after that happened. So.
Now, the girls did some freestyle. What do you think, folk style or freestyle?
So I am a huge folk style fan. I I think if you were not, I'll save your. I think I kind of know where you're going with this, so I might save your question for your next question for later. But if I'm going to say anything, I'm going to say folk style for now. So
Gotcha. Well, then I might as well bring that question up. So, if you're going to change anything about the rules of wrestling, where would you go?
I actually really like the way that Twin Rivers does it, and I'm going modified folk style. If I'm transitioning anything into the high school season, um, I think that. So my view on this is if you change it to freestyle, my concern is you're going to lose a lot of coaches because I don't feel like a lot of coaches have the background um, of freestyle, right? Like there's a
Yeah.
huge technique level there. Like you're literally changing from being able to lock hands to not locking hands and leg laces and gut wrenches. There's a whole new technique there, and I feel like it would be a huge learning curve for coaches. I feel like it's hard enough already to find coaches and assistant coaches for programs. And I feel like if you added that into there, I think, we're going to take maybe even a harder lump of trying to find coaches. So I think modified folk style is a way to do it. You get your push outs, you get your neutral restarts. Um, I, I think that would be a really nice transition for some of these girls to go to the next level and wrestle freestyle in college. So
No, I like that. I like that too. My worry, honestly, is if we'd switch officiating, and I love our officials, but freestyle really requires three officials to do it right,
for
you
sure,
know. And so
100%. There's so much going on.
I could imagine some of the calls. Who initiated that? Did they stop them before they did this? I mean, all the, or yeah,
I
it
mean,
would be a
you would have to incorporate. I don't think people realize this too, but if you were to change it to freestyle, you would have to incorporate challenges into high school matches,
yeah.
because there's so much that goes on there. And I don't. I mean, could you imagine videotaping or reviewing every single match and how long these tournaments would take? It's not
Oh,
possible.
yeah.
It's
Could be a nightmare. Definitely
It'd
could
be
be
a
a
huge
nightmare.
nightmare. That's why I think modified folk style, you still got your folk style moves on top. The only thing that you got to show is push outs, and
Yeah.
um, I don't know if we'll ever see it come to that, but I would love to see modified folk style interpreted into high school wrestling for girls. So
Well, even talking to the officials at Twin Rivers, and the first few years, some of them were a little against it until after the tournament, and they're like, "Man, that went fast." It takes
yeah,
about one round for people to know that they better circle in and wrestle in the middle, and
yeah,
then there's just no out of bounds calls anymore. I mean, it's just the matches go so fast,
yeah.
which is what we kind of like on those big tournaments. We want them to
Plus,
get done, so we're not there till 10, 11 o'clock at night. So
yeah. I mean, plus I like the aspect too of being on your feet longer. Some of these girls get to college and they're like, "Holy crud, I'm on my feet a lot during my matches now."
yeah.
So I would love to see it turn into that for high school.
So this is always a weird question to ask coaches because we don't really aspire to be anybody or looked up to anybody anymore, athlete wise. But who would you direct some of your girls to watch on YouTube? What are some of the big names that you would direct people to?
Yeah, so the one name, a couple of the names that I go back to, and I actually try to go to people that they know or that they follow because that way they're interested when they're watching them. If I tell them a bunch of names of wrestlers they don't know, they're probably not going to be that interested, right?
Yep.
But definitely guys like Bo Bassett, bringing the pace like that, having that machine gun mindset of just attack, 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 and um, I would say he's probably one of the biggest guys that our girls watch. Him and Jax Forrest, of course, too. He's pretty impressive as well. So it's guys like that I tell them to go and watch. And I actually think it helps sometimes because I would say if you've ever watched our team compete, especially at like a local or not a local tournament, but like a weekend tournament for the girls, man, they get after it and they get after it hard. I I'd be willing to say that we do not get too many stalling calls from neutral because they're after it quick. So
Yeah, no, great. That's a good answer. I like that, making sure that they actually follow somebody because I'll throw out names and yeah, I get that blank stare. Yeah, I
yeah,
don't even know who that is and I don't care. So
yeah,
I get it.
yeah.
Um, wrestling has taught me too.
Oh, wrestling has taught me, I would say, to be patient. As if we're talking about this as from a coach, it's definitely patience because you're working with a bunch of teenage girls and there's a lot of drama, there's a lot of talk, there's a lot of um, girls wear their emotions on their sleeves. So I've definitely learned some patience throughout this whole process. So which I probably needed. So.
I've kind of come to the end of my whole outline here, but I always leave time for some final thoughts. And I know you got a great season coming up. So what do you got for us?
Um, I would say, just going back to that whole great season, we're just super excited for this year to see where we go and what we've got moving forward. And, we're going to probably have a few lower numbers because we lost some, six seniors and lost a couple other girls to going full time in some other sports. But, we're super excited for what we have. And we got a girl that's going to be a freshman next year by the name of Cadence Christensen. Who won high school girls AAU state this year. I think she pinned her way through the tournament except for one match. So she's
Wow.
going to be a lot of fun to watch next year and super excited to get to work with her. And, um, we're just ready for some wrestling right now. So
Yeah, I can't wait. It's time. I've
for sure, for sure.
all
It's
right.
been a long enough wait. So,
Yeah. So, well, thanks very much for coming on tonight. I appreciate it. Can't wait to see it. I don't know if we run into each other until state tournament. I think that's
I
the
think that
only
was actually
time.
another question that you said that we might get to was what other tournaments we're going to be into
Oh
this year.
yeah, yeah.
So you're just making my memory jog right now. But so we're actually improving our schedule a little bit to have some tougher tournaments. So last year we got into Allie's Cedar Falls tournament, and
Yep.
I think we took third as a team there with a bunch of 2A teams. So we were like, hey, there's no sense of, trying to stay away from some of those bigger tournaments. And I reached out to Biscaglia, and he got us into the Raccoon River tournament. So we'll be in that one. And we also got into the Ames tournament, which is real early in the year as well. So a couple
Oh,
of
awesome.
tougher tournaments to get into. And I don't know if you'll be at any of those, but we're
I'm
excited
not.
for them. So.
Yeah, about the only time I hit Central Iowa with Boone and Ogden, and well, I've always gone to Ogden. Ogden was the very first girls site, and I've always gone back to that one. So, but yeah,
Yep.
I'm trying to get our schedule. Man, we drive so much. I'm trying to get ours a little tighter, is what I'd like to do, so we're
How
not
far are you
driving
from
so.
Eddyville, man? We'd love to have you guys at our home tournament.
Man, we're 2 hours from Des Moines, and then how far? I mean,
Yeah, it's probably about a 3.5 hour drive for you, I'd say.
yeah. I've gone to Vinton before, and that's a hell of a drive. We might go up to Osage this year. I don't know if I got into that one or not, but I'm
Oh,
looking forward to getting some some matches in. But I don't want to drive so much. I'm getting old,
we're
so
we're pretty proud of our home tournament. We named it after Megan Black, and so you got the Megan Black Girls Invitational, and we had a plethora of, I mean, ranked girls in the state come. Grace Strajahan, she's come to our
yep,
tournament. Um, St. Angsgar, they've came and they've got some hammers too.
sure
Uh,
do.
Rihanna Utterback has been to our tournament for many years. God, I'm trying to think who else. There's just a number of ranked girls at this tournament, so I would say it's you know probably a under the radar kind of tournament. Not a lot of people know about it, but there are some super exciting matches for those finals ones. So,
Awesome. Well, we'll look forward to looking for those results. I will talk to you later.
yep, you have a good one, Troy. See ya.
Yep.